Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into what is truly a masterclass in leadership, faith, and strategy. It's an event known as the Compensatory Umrah, and it's the incredible story of how a religious pilgrimage was transformed into a powerful display of strength, justice, and ultimately a promise fulfilled. So this entire journey really begins not with a human decision, but with a divine promise. A vision was sent to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and this was it becoming reality. You have to remember, just the year before, the Muslims had been turned away from Makkah, which led to the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah. But now they were coming back to fulfill that pilgrimage, and this time, they had a right to be there. And we're not talking about a small group here. In the 7th year after the migration to Medina, 2,000 companions set out for Makkah. And that number doesn't even include the women and children. This was a massive, highly anticipated moment for the entire early Muslim community. They had been waiting for this with just an incredible amount of patience and faith. So, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll look at the promise that started it all, the mix of faith and strategy, the power of their entry into the city, how they used worship to show strength, a really touching moment of compassion, and finally, the enduring legacy of it all. It's this amazing blend of spiritual devotion, smart thinking, and deep, deep humanity. Okay, so let's start with the journey itself. The Muslims were finally on their way back to Makkah to perform the Umrah, that's the lesser pilgrimage, which they had been blocked from doing a year earlier. This time, though, things were different. Their entry was guaranteed by the treaty they had signed. I mean, just try to imagine this scene for a second. The sources describe thousands of people, all dressed in the same simple white pilgrim's clothes, moving as one unified body. You could hear them chanting the talbiyah, the sacred call of the pilgrimage, and they brought animals with them for the sacrifice. It must have been an absolutely awe-inspiring procession, a powerful sight for anyone who witnessed it. But here's the thing. Even though this was a deeply spiritual journey, it was also a masterclass in strategy. Yeah, they had a peace treaty, but they were not about to take any unnecessary risks. And this is where we see this perfect, incredible balance between faith and practical precaution. So what did that look like? Well, they brought a full stock of weapons with them. Swords, shields, armor, the whole deal. But they didn't bring them into the sacred city. Instead, they left them just 8 miles outside Makkah at a spot called Butn Yajuj, with 200 horsemen standing guard, just in case of any treachery. And this teaches us such a profound lesson, doesn't it? The Prophet showed everyone that true faith, or tawakkul, doesn't mean you just throw caution to the wind. Trusting in God while also taking every smart precaution you can, well, they're two sides of the same coin. It's wisdom in action. All right, so their weapons are secured. Their hearts are focused completely on worship, and now it's time to enter the city. But they didn't just quietly slip in, no. Their arrival was a powerful, powerful proclamation of their faith. Picture this. The Prophet is riding his camel, Al-Qaswa, and as he enters Makkah, he and all his companions raise their voices chanting the talbiyah. The sources say the sound was like a loudspeaker, echoing through the mountains, proclaiming the oneness of God for all to hear. And guess who was watching from those very mountains? The leaders of Makkah. What a statement. Now, once they were inside the sacred mosque, even the acts of worship themselves were turned into a demonstration of strength. And this was a direct response to a bit of psychological warfare coming from the other side. You see, a rumor had been spread, on purpose, by the leaders in Makkah. The story going around was that the Muslims who had moved to Medina were weak and frail, that the city's fever had gotten the best of them. It was a classic attempt to demoralize them and undermine their presence. So how do you counter a rumor like that? Well, the Prophet's response was brilliant. He instructed his companions to change how they performed the tawaf, the circling of the Kaaba. He told them to uncover their right shoulders, a sign of strength, and to actually jog for the first 3 circuits. This practice, now known as Ramal, was a clear physical and undeniable display of their health and vitality. And the effect was immediate. When the leaders of Makkah saw this, they were floored. Their propaganda was just shattered in an instant. You can almost hear them muttering, "Are these the people you said were weak? No way. They look stronger than ever." Their psychological tactic had completely backfired. The strength of the Muslims was just undeniable. But this whole event wasn't just about these big, collective displays of strength. As the Muslims were getting ready to leave after their 3 days were up, A moment of profound personal compassion and justice took place, and it really revealed the deep character of this community. The young orphan daughter of the Prophet's late uncle, the great warrior Hamzah, followed the Muslims as they were leaving. And right away, three of the most beloved companions, Ali, Jafar, and Zayd, all stepped forward. Each one made their case for why they should have the honor of raising her. So what's the right call? Everyone looked to the Prophet. He listened to each claim, and then he gave his ruling. He decided the little girl should be raised by Jafar, and the reason was so simple, yet so profound. Jafar's wife was her maternal aunt. With that one decision, he established a foundational principle in Islamic family law. A maternal aunt has the same status as a mother. It was justice and compassion, perfectly intertwined. So after 3 days, just as the treaty stipulated, the Muslims departed Makkah. They honored their agreement to the letter. But the impacts they left behind, well, that was going to change the course of history. When you look back, the legacy was just huge. They fulfilled their religious duty while showing strength without a hint of aggression. They established key principles of justice. The Prophet also married Maimoonah, building kinship ties. And I just love this detail. In a final act of incredible leadership, he made sure that the 200 men who stood guard outside also got their chance to go into Makkah and complete their own pilgrimage. Absolutely no one was left behind. You know, the Compensatory Umrah is so much more than just a historical event. It's a timeless case study in balanced, wise leadership. And it really leaves us with a question to reflect on in our own lives. How do we blend that unwavering faith with smart, practical preparation? And how do we make sure our collective goals never, ever overshadow our duty of compassion to each individual? It's something to really think about. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family, and his companions.